Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, everybody, to Monday. This is Monday Morning Jumpstart. My name is Karen Hilton, and I am Chief Vision Caster and founder of the Rock Your Vision Masterclass community and TAP Executive Coaching. It's Monday. Did you get the memo? Oh, by the way, you were supposed to wear either red or black. I'm just saying. That was the memo for Monday. Welcome to Monday Morning Jumpstart. Listen. We are so excited. We made it to December. Y'all, do you remember March? Do you remember, May, June, when it felt like May and June were going to last forever? Come on. I need y'all to give it up. We made it to December. Come on. I need my squad to lean in a little bit.
Woo! That's a slow movie clap. Like,
yes.
Right?
We made it.
Oh my gosh. Good morning, everybody. I am so excited to be right here. You know, I know that on Monday mornings, like at this time of the morning, it can feel a little bit extra. Like, Karen, I don't know where you get it from. So my husband says to me the other day, he's like, honey, I have to take a certification exam. I'm gonna need you to go somewhere else because you're all like, good morning, everybody. Like he's mocking me. I mean, I need y'all to protect me. I need y'all to look out, okay? So Steve L. Hilton, I need y'all to hit him up and tell him, leave me alone. I'm just saying. Anyway, this is the best place to be on Monday morning. This is your jump start to your week. We were just talking about, we were doing a little tribe business, and we were just talking about the fact that 2020 tried to take us out. Okay. Yeah. Tried to full on take us out. He wasn't playing. She wasn't playing, whatever did you call it. And I have decided that this month I am going to celebrate every single week the fact that we made it this far. Now, listen, some of you have experienced some things, and I know that. I've experienced some things. I have lost people this year. And if that's you, I just want you to know that our thoughts, our prayers are with you. We're holding you in our heart. We created this space just for you to be able to just welcome you in. If it's not any place but right here, just to be able to have a little place to find some kindness, some power, some encouragement, some connection with these beautiful faces that I get to call friends and roadies and colleagues. I'm going to introduce you to him this morning. I'm going to start with my dude that I haven't seen in a minute. He's all the way in California, and it's really early. So the fact that he's here, y'all need to feel real special. This is Jeff Bull. Come on. Hey, Jeff.
Good morning. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's a nice balmy 40 degrees here in California, East Bay. It's fantastic.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious? It's like 60 degrees in Georgia.
No. It rained all weekend. I got up at 4:30 this morning specifically so I could come out here and turn the heater on before I came to the shed because it's a little chilly. And I still have the cardigan on because it's a little chilly. Whatever. Wow. I'm here with you guys, so it's gonna be awesome.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna pull up the fire and the heat this morning. So you're gonna walk out of here this morning going, woo, that was close. It's great to see you. And then we have the effervescent, the wicked smart, the amazing Coach Kim Dudash. Come on, everybody.
Good morning. So it's not 40 and balmy here. It's raining. I don't even know what the temperature is, but hey, it's a beautiful Monday, right?
That's right.
This is the place to be.
That's right. This is the place to be. I am so excited to see you this morning. You always put a smile on my face, and we're going to light it up today. How about it?
Sounds good.
Yes. Yay. And then, hold on a second, y'all. Hold on. So as I was thinking about how I wanted to end the year, I'm like, I need like some wisdom. I need a little tiny bit of preaching. I need like some redirection. I need like some bold, like in your face, like get over it, come on, push through it kind of energy. I don't know about y'all, but as I thought about like, okay, now, who is it in my life that does that for me every single time? I just, I was just pulling stuff out of air and like, it was like, boom. Lawrence Henderson is in the house this morning, y'all. Come on.
Oh my gosh. Karen, you sitting there hyping it up. So now I gotta give something extra.
Like, bring it this morning.
I had 1 or 2 bombs, but man, I take the rucksack out today.
Listen, I know every single person in here needs it because we're gonna go out of 2020 with as much fire and as much determination and as much consistency and commitment as 2020 had for us, because 2020 was unrelenting. And I just need you to know, when you have unrelenting face you, when you have something big face you, you cannot come at it being timid. Can I just get an amen? I mean, you just cannot like tiptoe and be like, please. And you got to take it by force. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Lawrence, I am so excited and honored that you were able to clear your calendar to be able to spend it with your squad. We're here for it. And I am so excited to have you this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Thank you so much, Karen. And you talk about leaning in and being proactive and assertive. I tell you what, I know a bunch of people will agree this year has been a year of shifts. In so many aspects, shifts of energy, shifts of what we believe in, shifts in what perspective looks like. And us coaches, it's all about the big reframe. And I tell you, the last several months have been all about the reframe and the reframe towards what's possible. And so I'm ready to get into this morning with these awesome coaches. And just again, 2020 ain't over yet. We still winning. We still got stuff on the books. I still got stuff I'm doing this week that's cutting checks. So it don't matter. We got to get into it.
Come on. I love it. Well, listen, your tribe is already here for you. Let's check the stream and find out who we've got in here. Let's see. We have Coach Akila Charlemagne. Y'all come on. Coach Akila's in the house.
Good morning, Akila.
Hey, Akila.
What's up, Akila?
Good morning.
Good morning. Akila says, we're looking really good. I dressed up for y'all this morning. I'm just saying. I took a bath. I put on my lashes. I'm ready to go. Okay. And then we have the amazing Shay Houston in the house, owner of Shay Renee Macaron. If you have not had Shay Renee Macaron, y'all, can I talk about it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Whole lot awesome.
Did I tell you that it would change your life?
Oh my God.
Yeah. We're not really sure, Shay, what you're putting in there, but anyway, we're here for it. So we're glad to see you this morning. Kim, check in the stream and see who else we have in here this morning. Can you see it?
Some up, it's like delayed. So let's see who we got. Oh, we've got John this morning. Hey, John. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah. Let's see. Sarah's here. Sarah Fruman. Hello.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey.
Karina Graham is in here. Good morning, Karina. We got a house full.
So excited. Well, listen, we are going to have an amazing morning this morning. We have a really, really powerful topic. I wanted to spend like the last month of the year kind of doing what Coach Lawrence talked about in the reframe. Now, some of you may know Coach Lawrence's story, but I'm going to have him unpack it a little bit. I'm going to have him give kind of the Reader's Digest version, because when you get to know his story, you're going to understand why it is that individual, executive level leaders and corporations hire him to teach them and to coach them around leadership best practices, and organizational development strategies. This guy has got it going on. And I remember when I first met him, I saw him kind of from a distance. I'm like, I need to know who that guy is. Have y'all ever had that happen where you meet somebody and you just kind of know, like there's something, you're not quite sure what it is? And then I got an opportunity to spend some time with him one-on-one, and I was like, now I get it. So Coach Lawrence, again, we're so excited to have you here. As you can see, the tribe is in full force. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do before we get started. Excuse me. If you're joining us live, go ahead and share this. Start a watch party, because we want to unpack some of what Coach Lawrence is talking about. We want to make this go as viral as we can, right? This community is specifically for people who want to get focused, connect to their purpose, and develop perspective. Those are our 3 pillars. I'm struggling this morning. I got a frog in my throat. Anyway, and because of that, we can do that by way of everyone in this community. So start a watch party, send it to your network, let people know that we're live, and Coach Lawrence is about to start unpacking his power plays. So get ready. All right, Coach Lawrence, we want to get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about who Coach Lawrence is. Come on.
Yeah. So once upon a time, I am Lawrence Henderson, and I am coming up on 6 years of transitioning out of the United States Army.
Come on, wait a second. Hold on, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on. We got a veteran in the house. Thank you, Coach Lawrence, for your service, your dedication, and to all of your brothers and sisters who wear a uniform in any of the branches of our service. We want to thank you for protecting us and for serving this country. Thank you, Coach Lawrence.
No, it's amazing. And as I think about that origin story of transition, we talked about early in the season imposter syndrome, and I had it bad. I had it bad because, again, if you listen to the hype as I was transitioning, I was supposed to have people lined up for me. I was supposed to be, you walk into my next corporate thing, and people were going to be handing me, cakes, cookies, and rainbows and pixie dust. But that's not what happened. I was met with a lot of resistance, which caused me to question me. But then, as I say and have written down, I had to release myself to see what success looked like for me. And I'll say that again for the people in the back.
Come on.
I had to release myself to understand what success looked like for me, because I was always good at being a good soldier, being a good leader, being in support of someone and something else. But for the first time, I was actually able to finally write down my mission statement. And that, I'll be honest, it was scary in the beginning, because I didn't know what that looked like. But everybody always says that you need a strong partner in life. And I have one of the best. I'm just saying, I'm a little biased. Japri Henderson kind of shook your boy and said, dude, I need you to read your resume. You ain't no slouch out here. So I need you to read it. I need you to get it clear, which propelled me forward, ramped up on some professional goals. But then this past year, 2020, you talk about a year to step out on faith, or in my laurels and everything else. I moved into our full-time entrepreneurship. And it's funny, Karen, you bring up how you were watching from afar and some other things, because we're a family, y'all. We're a family in community today. I talked to you early 2020. And that conversation, you talk about imposter syndrome, that actually was like held me go into a shell in January. Because I felt defeated, because it was because there was no immediate transaction, right? And a lot in our minds, if we allow just conversations, and again, it was business development for both of us. But to believe in my mind, to plant a seed like, hey, because we know mutual people, that this was supposed to translate to something. And I was doing it to myself. And I was like, man, I got to get rid of that. So I had to go back. Who was I? What is my identity? And then move forward in that. And it was funny, because that was a season of growth and churning of ground for me. And again, using some farmer analogies, and Kim, you'll understand that. I had to churn some things inside. I had to break up some ground to make it available and expose some things that I still needed to work on. And that exposure allowed me to grow so much as pertains to my coaching, my business, but it actually helped to refine what my message actually was. And my message and who I make myself available to, it's all about alignment. And so being here today, being with you all, it's because it's aligned. It's on for purpose. And again, it's something I said yes to because it made sense in where I believe I'm being drawn and purpose to be. So I thank you so much for not immediately calling me back because it helped me grow a muscle. It helped me grow a muscle.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, you refined the vision. You helped refine the vision.
Wow. Okay, so I think I'm always amazed that when you launch out into something, when you do something scary, and this is true if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in ministry, if you're in corporate, when you launch out to do something new, you still have to get your sea legs, right? You still have to get your sea legs. And I think I don't know about y'all. I'm just speaking for myself. I think in many ways, I'm still growing up a little bit. I'm just going to confess that because it's December and we gotta tell it like it is. But in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm still growing up. I'm feeling like, I step out to do something new or I form a new relationship. And like you, Lawrence, I cannot tell you how many similar experiences I have had. You and I need to talk about that offline. But how many experiences that we have, because it's like, I see this, I'm not really sure how to put it together, but here's what I see. Here's where I want this to go. And so oftentimes the things that we want and we expect, we started the year saying we're going to play bigger. We stepped out. Come on, y'all. Like in this community, that was our theme. We stepped out in faith, right? Doing all the things that we thought we were supposed to do. Jeff and Kim know what this is like, right? I serve well. I do my job. I do more than my job requires. And then something happens that makes me go, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it wasn't for me, or maybe they don't like me, or maybe I don't fit, or whatever. How many times, squad, has that happened? Talk to me about that.
I want to throw this out there because, Lawrence, I'm so glad that you brought up how you went into 2020, because I think as I've been talking to people that I like coach at the company that I work at, so many people, they feel really like empowered and they feel really comfortable where they were at. And they're like, maybe it is time to step out and like take that exactly everything you just said, Karen, everything you just said, Lawrence, take that leap of faith and like, I'm going to go do this, go into it feeling really confident. And they step into whatever this new thing was. And all of a sudden like, oh crap, like what just happened? Like also, even if whatever they're doing isn't so far off from what they were doing before, they also realize, I didn't realize how much I didn't actually know. And it scares them. And it's really easy to stumble when that happens, unless you have somebody, a group there, people to help kind of coach you through it. And I'm glad you brought that up, Lawrence, because I think so many more people that don't realize it now can completely identify with exactly what you went through. It's helpful. I mean, I just did this a month or two ago when I pivoted into an entirely new role, doing something I've never done before. It's still in the tech industry, but it's just something very different. And almost immediately, I'm like, I'm glad I'm here, but don't tell anybody, but I'm not sure what I'm doing.
Thank you for saying that, Jeff, and for setting some of us free that are like, oh my gosh, I got to walk into this new thing. And I'm like, yeah, I've done that before. I know how much to charge. I know how to, do a P&L and sit in a boardroom. Of course, I do it all the time.
It makes so much sense, Karen, when you have a consistent paycheck coming in, everybody has a level of and again, dictionary.com word of the month. Everybody knows how to pontificate. When income's consistent, but how many of us really, when you getting punched in the face, and oh, by the way, that's called business development, and you're trying to figure out that you need to know how to do another thing as it pertains to your business. And oh, by the way, a team wasn't assigned to you has roles and position descriptions, and you have to be those things in the beginning. Nobody actually really wrote a book on that and breaks those chapters down. And I know early on that was a part of it, the business development, and it took me talking to you, Karen, and then it was a series of people that I talked to that was like real, recognize real, and talking to me like, hey, you need to actually do some refinement. Send me this, send me that. And then the ones giving me feedback on what I was sending to them, it was like, ooh, okay, I didn't even think about that. Ooh, aesthetically, and from a perspective and observer, see, this is what this looks like. And again, understanding, like, again, people who are willing to share with me, I was taking that and I was actually using it as a material and as a platform to now start from and level up consistently. And again, you talk about the big reframe. It was like, dude, get out of your feelings. It was like, people are just giving you feedback. And so if you really believe feedback's a gift, because again, when that consistent paycheck was coming, I was the optimistic coach and said, hey, feedback is a gift. But all of a sudden I started getting it about my business. It started hurting a little bit. It was stinging. I didn't know in my knower, and it wasn't coming out right. And I know Coach Kim, you I know you all over that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just, I mean, like you said, feedback is such a gift until it starts coming to you. And then it's like, well, I don't know about this, but yes. And, and I think 2020 for me has just been about some days just showing up, right? I mean, just keep on showing up because it's been different.
It's been different.
It's been different. We just
I heard somebody say the other day, it's been an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I wanted to smack them. Can I just say that and be honest? I love y'all. If you were the one that said that, if you were the one that said it first, I'm just being honest. I'm like,
you know what? I know it's funny, but when I've heard somebody else say that, I was on a podcast and I heard someone, it was supposed to be like a helpful podcast, and said that it's been an opportunity. I'm like, I'm just deleting this podcast. I can't do this.
Yeah, that's right. I can't do this.
It's one thing to say that out loud, but to realize like all this, like, yeah, we might need to hear it, but it's not what any of us want to hear right now. So just stop that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm totally there with you though. 2020, we have had to, 2020 has been it's been a challenge. It's been an opportunity. There are all these buzzwords, but somewhere along the line, I want us to tell the truth about what 2020 was.
Right. That's
right. Because, we talk about it all the time as leaders, and we say it to this community. You cannot make progress. You cannot reclaim your why. You cannot rock your vision. You can't do anything if you do not tell yourself the truth.
That's right.
We start in the wilderness experience. In that wilderness model, we start with stage number 1, which is to assess the environment. And assessing the environment is all about telling yourself the truth. Come on, Coach Lawrence, you're a military vet. You got to tell yourself the truth when you're standing in the middle of a desert and you need to figure out what to wear or what to pack for what may be coming your way.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because it really makes me love Pastor Andy's comment even more. In the comments, he says, there's a difference in thriving in someone else's organization and thriving in my own that rests completely on my shoulders.
That's right.
When you carry the weight of the organization's success, you don't get to play a key role. You are playing the only role.
Wow.
You're the one employee that it's hard to fire.
That's right. That's right.
And when you talk about what do you need to pack, what do you need to actually put on to achieve this next mission? Because again, when it's only you, you're constantly looking for purpose, vision, and direction from assignment to assignment to assignment to assignment. And that for me was something that I really truly miscalculated. Was how much effort and involvement of me with every single client. And again, it was entrepreneurship is so romanticized. And I love somebody, I heard it this way, was like, don't let what you see today be the only part of my story you read, right? And because you don't see all the work that got put into the product that you see today, and you don't see the blood, and you don't see the scars that I had to put salve on myself because I didn't have health insurance yet. And I wasn't making enough to get health insurance, and all of those stories, because I've been on missions where I didn't have what I needed. And admitting it early is something that I
Yes.
had to come to grips with, because again, bad news doesn't get better with time. And so one of the keys to this season of life for me was not doing it alone. The worst thing that I did back in the summer, back in June, was I began to become recluse. I began to just go into my corner. And again, my partner in life, in love, dude, what's up? I need some paychecks to come in. And that reality of life and all the rest of those things, like, okay, I need to get focused. I need to get back focused. And it was in that time that was like, okay, refinement, churning. What's the why?
Yeah.
And crazy enough, I had already written it down. Already written it down. And I went back to those notes. I went back to that notebook where the passages were given to me about what this was all supposed to be about. It was all about not shifting as a shadow, but staying steadfast in what you were supposed to be doing. Shadows and the sun's gonna move. Don't mean you should. Opportunity's gonna come. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Wow.
And so those things of life and entrepreneurship will kind of, those things that come at you. And again, I'm good at business operations. I'm good at all these other things, but I didn't pack the right stuff for that stuff because I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And
Come on, hold on a second. I'm gonna need you to say that one more again. Okay. And Pastor Andy just gave me an amen there. I'm gonna need you to unpack that one more time.
Yeah, just because you can, though, it doesn't mean you should. You actually helped me with this as I thought about our first conversation, and you asked me, and again, I have this love-hate relationship with the word niche, or niche, as when I want to be playful. And I was like, man, what is that? I said, I'm jack of all trades, master of none. But then somebody said, but that's not a clear message.
All right.
And again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Wow. All work isn't your work.
I hope y'all are getting this.
And so as I began to figure out what I needed for the missions that I was called to, and that I was purposed to fight in, I needed to make sure I was equipped and I had the people with me that could cover my blind spots, right? And in combat, we always had a battle buddy. And in along this journey, I have several battle buddies. And what it really refined for me was who was my community and who wasn't, right? Not good, not bad, not indifferent. I just know who's not my people. And that's okay. And so what it drew me closer to, like energy attracts like energy, right? There's a coaching thing. That's just life. And so I had to up my vibration. And when I upped where my identity was and whose I was, not just who I was, but whose I was, community began to multiply.
Let's talk about that for a minute. We're going to get to vision.
Yeah.
We're going to get to vision, but for just a minute, I want to talk about something that you just said, because I think for in this season, this has been so important. It is critical. It is like life-changing. And this is really where we want, if you're following this and you have the opportunity, go and share this, because we want people to hear this. One of the things that got exposed in 2020 was this assumption that everybody around us, that we had around us, needed to believe the same thing, say the same thing, look the same way, whatever. And when we encountered resistance, when we heard something that we did not want to hear, when we realized that the same people who had been filling our cup were no longer available to fill our cup, or who weren't filling our cup with the stuff we wanted to hear, or the stuff that was comfortable for us. And this is on every side, every political, religious, whatever. This is not one or the other, y'all. I'm talking this, as Coach Alicia Newton says, this is big girl and big boy stuff, okay? I'm just saying, what you said, Coach Lawrence, was like major. And that is that you recognize that there's a difference between who's your people and who's not. It is critical to understand who your tribe is. And let me be really clear with you. Your tribe needs to be people who will not allow you to stay in your comfort zone. They need to be people who will not say yes to you all the time. I'm just going to leave that there for a minute. I'm going to be by myself. That was good, Karen. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Kim, Jeff, talk into that a little bit about this kind of thing that we need to mature into, where we say, you know what, there's some things I need to hear. Coach Lawrence talked about it earlier. There's some things I need to hear. And you know what, I need to learn to be in the same space with people who maybe aren't like me, not because I want to believe what they believe, but because that is the nature of being, of just being a leader, right? Being in community. Talk to me about that. That's a big one, I know.
Kitty, you want to go first?
Where do we start?
I know. Well, but I do think that 2020 has been a year, if we're paying attention, where we can learn that, I don't know, more than ever, I'm so aware that we are all connected. I mean, we are all connected, regardless of what we believe or how we, like you said, the people who were maybe filling my cup aren't saying the things that I want them to say. We're different, but we're all the same. Everything that Coach Lawrence does affects me. Everything that I do affects Jeff. I mean, we're all connected and in this together. And I think this has been a year, if we're paying attention, that we will realize that more than ever, we need to be hanging on to each other. We need to be learning from each other. We need to recognize that just because we're different, just because you may be different than me doesn't mean that you're any better or any less than me. I mean, we're so, I don't know. I just think it has been a year for us. Like I said, if we're paying attention, we can see how much we're connected all over this world, not just in, my area or across the US, but across the world. And realizing that I have a place, I have a particular place in this world. I don't have to be like Coach Lawrence. I don't have to be like Coach Karen. And I'm not supposed to be, because I have a group that only I can reach. Right.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah. I wanted to throw out a little story that I've told to a few friends of mine, but it's nothing super profound. But a couple months ago, my wife and I were having this conversation, and she reminded me of something that happened back at the beginning of the pandemic. We had been in this where we live now for maybe 6-7 months, and we're here for 6-7 months, and all of a sudden everything shuts down.
Yeah.
And I remember we were out. My son he could go back to school because he's young enough at his daycare, and she and I are just taking a walk through the neighborhood. And I don't remember how it came up, but I hear her say to me as we're walking, and I realized I wasn't actually paying much attention. She said, "Jeff, look up." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I thought she meant like there's a tree or something pretty that I should look at. And I looked up, and I'm like, "Wait, what's up?" And I look over, and she goes, no, you just need to stop. You're looking down all of the time. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Wow. And the conversation basically was that she didn't mean like literally look up, but I mean, she kind of did. There was some bird in a tree or something. But what she actually meant was like, you are so like focused on like still trying to run 100 miles an hour by like focusing down at the thing that's right in front of you, that you're not just looking up to realize that there's other stuff around you we can be doing.
Wow.
And the perspective reframe that she was trying to get me into, and it took me a little bit to actually shift into it, was we have these neighbors around us that we're friends with, and we were both having a hard time letting go of the things we were doing every single day. And I'll be honest that being able to just kind of stop and take a breath for a minute and realize, oh, there's all this other stuff around us.
Wow.
It really led to me being able to take my own pivot 6 months later in my career. But if I hadn't just stopped and looked up for a minute to realize, oh, there's a lot of other like community and, resources around that aren't just the grind, or call it whatever you want, that's right in front of you.
Wow.
You just look up.
Incredible, Jeff. Like I'm just kind of processing that. That is so deep. In 2020,
I'm gonna end this right here. Then that's all I got this morning.
The mic has been dropped. That's right.
Mic drop.
Like that is like the perfect way to kind of encapsulate what we need to think about as we close out 2020. That we have to. We've just been going 1,000 miles an hour. I was talking to my husband about this the other day. We haven't slowed down long enough because we're so busy trying to cope or keep up or whatever. And sometimes to get a different perspective, you literally just have to look up. You have to be able to see the resources that are in front of you. I will go back to the wilderness experience model that's a part of our digital course, Reclaim Your Why, which is getting relaunched at the beginning of the year. It is in stage 3 where we identify, it's stage 3 where we get to safety. We figure out the things that we need to do to kind of recalibrate ourselves, right? Coach Lawrence will tell you, being on the battlefield, right? You send troops ahead of you, but eventually they have to come back because they're exhausted, right? Stage 4 is where we begin to identify resources and look around and see the things that maybe are right in front of us, but we've completely missed. Okay, Pastor Andy has a question. He says, do you think the challenge and strength of the imposter syndrome directly correlates to the unresolved issues of ego or identity? Now, y'all know, for those of you who don't know, Pastor Andy Smith from Influencers Kennesaw is our community pastor, and he always like lays it out and like leaves a scratch in our heads like, I did not see that coming. And here we go. I need y'all to strap in for this one. Do you think the challenge and strength of the imposter syndrome directly correlates to the unresolved issues of ego or identity? Do you think either are dangerous to your purpose? Oh my gosh. If so, how do you or how did you address either without self-sabotaging? I'm gonna need to go get my dictionary.
Yeah. I'm all over this one.
Come on, Coach Lawrence.
Yeah. So question number 1. Yes, ego in and of itself is, again, you drawing that line in, I could do this.
Yeah.
It's me beating that beating your chest
right.
and box and stuff. But the person who has to do that actually doesn't understand who they are in the mirror. And so they're on a stage, they're performing. And so I believe the imposter syndrome part of it is them trying to make themselves believe that they are, instead of just knowing who they are.
Exactly.
And who they are. And the danger to your purpose is that you can perform too long. And,
oh my goodness.
the
Talk
first
to me
half-
about that.
Yeah, the first half of this year, I was performing. I was performing for people that I was this business owner with zero success. I had past success. I had a resume that told me I was good at stuff, but I didn't know who I was in this season. And I believe if we're not staying present and we're not staying aware of the season that we're in and what we're supposed to be doing in these seasons, we may miss the shift. And so every single day, yesterday is yesterday. We're in a perpetual series of todays. And so if you don't understand what's happening with you right now in these moments, and you're not, again, using the tools that you've used up to these moments, guess what? I'm not equipped, so I need a Karen. Guess what? I'm not equipped. I need a Jeff. Guess what? I'm not equipped. I need a Kim. Guess what? I'm not equipped. I need a Pastor Andy. Though when you are not in ego, but you're in purpose, it opens up your perspective and your perception to understand who you need to be with you while you fight this battle. Nobody ever won a battle or a war alone. And so when we go to fight, your ego has to be removed. Your identity has to be secure enough to say, I need help. And then those are the things, when you say, I need help, you help people when they come to you, you help them align in purpose. And so that's where alignment comes in. And you can't be full of yourself if you're going to give people purpose, vision, and direction to be able to support you properly. So those are the things, like, I love this. And that helps with addressing self-sabotage. Because when you allow yourself to be surrounded by people who you've given permission to tell you the truth, then you are receptive when they hit you with things that others may hear as harmful, but you know, it's like, oh yeah, that was good. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. And there's a series of thank yous, right? Those moments I could say today, I could say, thank you, Karen, for not coming back to me immediately, because there was something in what you said to me, that feedback that was of seed that I needed to go get watering so that I could be prepared for this moment.
Wow. Right, Jeff? Come on.
I had like a thing I was processing to say, and then Lawrence just kept talking. I'm like,
and then it just hit you with another one, right? I told y'all. I told you.
You know what, Lawrence, you said something. You said a lot of things, really awesome things, but there was one in particular that's been hitting me lately that I'm glad you brought up, which is the idea of your resume. because I think to Andy, to your question, I think a resume is one of your most powerful tools to squash imposter syndrome. And what I mean by that, and Lords, I don't remember the words you used, but you just inspired something in what I was thinking is your resume is a tool when people are giving you feedback, as long as you're letting yourself be open to that feedback and to hearing it and process it, to go look back out, and that can help you kill your imposter syndrome, because your resume isn't like a justification of what you're going to do next. It's literally a history book that tells the story of your career. Go look at that to see what you have already done, to remind yourself that you are worth doing this next thing. Now go re-listen to the feedback people told you, and that will empower you to do the thing that you want to do next. But you got to be, it's a combination of listening and then going to look back at what you've already done. You put those two things together. And Andy, to your point, I don't think any of this is dangerous. I think if you allow it to be, it's a really powerful and empowering tool. You just have to let it be that. The problem is half the time that people aren't willing to be open enough to see that.
Wow, that right there. So oftentimes, even when we're in the wilderness, we say, no. I know how to deal with this. I know how to deal with a snake bite. I've done this before. No, I'm fine. I know my leg is swelling up 3 times its size. I'm okay, right? Or whatever. We walk through wilderness experiences like 2020 thinking like, yeah, I've done this before. I don't need your help. Or going back to that reference of, well, what you used to do for me, you're no longer doing for me. So now I'm going to have an attitude. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that I'm coming out of 2020 with, I mentioned it earlier, is I grew up a little bit. Come on. I'm 52 years old. I grew up a little bit. Anybody else, for the folks in the back, anybody else grow up a little bit?
A whole bunch.
Yeah. There's a book that was written that says you can't fire everybody. Here's what I mean by when I reference that, right? We said, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I don't like you. I didn't like what you said. I didn't like the way you looked at me, whatever, in 2020. And let me tell you something. When we walk into 2021, we better recognize that the people that you have canceled have something to teach you. I'm telling you, I'm not saying you gotta be booze with everybody. I said that the other day in a corporate presentation. I got in trouble. I got some feedback, but anyway, I did. You cannot be booze with everybody, but you need to understand that you cannot cancel everybody. You have to mature and recognize that they have a voice. One of the hardest things we've had to learn in the United States in particular is that the person standing next to you has a voice, and they need to have a voice. But you cannot cancel everybody, because you're going to miss your blessing having somebody around you that believes everything that you believe and has your same perspective and looks like you. You are going to stay stuck. I'm just going to leave it right there, because we need to start talking about vision. We were just doing the warm-up, y'all, 45 minutes into it. That was just the warm-up, okay? So here's the thing. How vision equips us for the wilderness. We've laid the solid foundation of some of the boss's power plays I've heard all year right here today. Don't get it twisted. There's still time to share it. So y'all make sure your tribe is leaning in, because here we go. You have a new year coming, and we have already been through this season. I've seen so many people saying all kinds of things about, 2021 is going to be a hard year and da-da-da-da-da. Listen, we are not definitely going to be booze. If that's you, we cannot be booze, because I got some plans for 2021. And while I had plans at the beginning of 2020, the temptation is to say, hold on, wait for it. Don't plan anything. Don't hope for anything. Do not anticipate anything good that might be coming, right? So 2020 was like, you remember the last time you tried to have some vision? You remember what happened with that?
Karen, you just said it. Sorry to interrupt, but you just said that. Don't anticipate anything good that may be coming. Don't anticipate anything bad that may be coming either, because you don't know. You don't know.
You don't know. But listen, what's the power of anticipating that you might succeed. Okay, I'm going to break it down for you. As I studied survivalists, military, ninjas, rangers, and people who actually do this for a living, one of the things they consistently say over and over and over again, Coach Lawrence, I'm going to need you to give me an amen on this, is that when you are going into an environment that looks hostile, when you are in a space where you feel like maybe you've been injured in some way. Okay, I'm making an analogy here, but maybe, you have a gash on your leg and you look over and you're not sure which direction is the horizon, but you're like, oh my gosh, I'm here by myself, or I'm here with a bunch of people who don't know what to do either. Vision is what equips you to be able to anticipate. There is actual proof that people who anticipate, who have a sense of where they could go, where they tap into the best of who they were. Jeff nailed it. Your resume is a way to encourage you. It's like a coaching document. You've been through some things. You've accomplished some things. You've overcome some things. Some of you are walking into 2021 with the same limp you had back in March. I'm going to need you to reset some things and tap into your vision. Vision is about not what you see, not what is actually in front of you. It's about what you anticipate. Let me be clear. Vision is not about having all the answers. It's not about having all the money. It's not about having all the connections. We have Karina Graham in here, one of the best real estate agents in the country. She's amazing. And we have lots of real estate agents in this environment. But the temptation would be, oh my gosh, look at all of the things that are happening that feel scary. Listen, 2021 is our year to grow up. It just got really quiet in here. I'm just saying.
No, I love that. I love that, Karen, because when we think about, and again, I'm always leaning on my resume of my military background, particularly the young infantrymen in me. And as an infantry leader in this, there's a maneuver called an audacious maneuver, which is very offensive in nature. Okay. And so if we wait for impact, if we brace for it, it's like bias of any sort. If you look for contact, you're going to get it. But it's how you prepare for that contact. Wow. And I would rather hit than be hit. And so when you think about 2021 and what's happened this second half of the year, I've been kind of audacious. But what it's calling me to is, have I been excellent 100% of the time where I am? And the answer has been no. So y'all better watch out in 2021, because the maneuver is audacious, limitless maneuvers. Is what boss is taking. Audacious, limitless maneuvers, because I'm leaning into all of my identity. I'm leaning into all that I feel purposed and called to. And again, I go back to this statement I made. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. All work isn't your work. And so when you become excellent 100% where you are, then you open up capacity to increase not only yourself, but those around you. And again, audacious, limitless maneuvers, purpose, vision, direction. If you do not have a purpose, then there can't be proper vision cast, and there can't be proper direction, because you'll look down in a road and you'll see 5 directions and any one to get you there. No, that's not true. You need to provide purpose, vision, and direction. HR, we always say, if it's not written, it's not real. And so don't fool yourself and be like, I got this idea. Yeah, you do. But it's fleeting, because all it'll take is something else shiny. I'm like, look what I can do. And it'll make you shift. And again, may shift you in a direction that may harm you more than it help you. And again, if you don't reframe, everything will feel like pressure. Everything will feel dangerous. But if it's your work, guess what? It's exciting. It's exciting and painful. But guess what? You need to stretch for a muscle to grow and for it to begin to repair itself. So guess what? Might as well stretch in purpose than stretch in something where you're just, I could do it, but it's not where you're supposed to be.
Listen for a minute. Like you just unpacked so much in that, Coach Lawrence, but I want to go back to something. I want to tell you a story, something that happened to me this weekend. And it has to do with vision casting, but it also has to do with part of what has happened in 2020. I went to go get my hair cut. Y'all, I went to my barber. I go to a barber, in case anybody's wondering. And I went to a barber, and this barber, all of the barbers in there are African American. Now, we know that barbershops are one of the most segregated places in the country. And that's just by virtue of the fact that, Black barbers know how to deal with Black hair. That is not a racial thing or a racist thing. That's just kind of the nature of it, because that's what's taught. That's another story. But I went to go get my hair cut. And so I was sitting there in the barber's chair, and he was doing my do. And a man walked in. Y'all hear me really quick, like listen in with everything you got. A man walked in. He had to be 80 years old if he was anything. He had on a veteran's hat, and he happened to be Caucasian. He walked into this Black barbershop where I was sitting there, and he said, "Oh, have I walked into the right barbershop?" Y'all strap in. He said, "Have I walked into the right barbershop?" I didn't say anything. I didn't preach. I didn't teach. I didn't lay hands on him. I just sat there. I needed to catch my breath. It hurt my feelings. And in that moment, it was like something inside of me said, "Karen, this is your opportunity to change his future." This man could not have been a day younger than 80. Okay, I'm talking about vision here for a minute. And in that moment, I said, I'm going to pay for his haircut. And then I'm going to speak life. And I wasn't sure, hadn't figured it out. This was not planned. I finished my haircut. I said, thank you. I paid the young man who cut my hair. And then I turned to my barber and I said, I'm going to cover that man's haircut. And he was like, why would you do that? He was like, never you mind. That's none of your business. I'm going to pay for his haircut. When he gets done, I'm going to already be gone. Here's my phone number. I'm going to need you to call me. They finished the young man's haircut. They called me on the phone and they said, Miss Karen, Mr. Joe is here and he's very emotional. He said, thank you for covering his haircut. And I said, you tell Mr. Joe that he's welcome in this barbershop. This is not my barbershop, y'all. I said, he's welcome in this barbershop anytime. And when he's ready for a next haircut, he's going to come back and we're going to take care of him again. Y'all need to hear me. I have a vision where a day comes when someone will walk into a Black neighborhood in a Black barbershop and sit down and get a haircut and feel safe and accepted or whatever it is that he needs to feel, because it never occurred to me that he wouldn't feel safe. But for some reason, we can extrapolate based on 2020 what he was thinking about. But he walked out of there with a different experience. And I'm not claiming to be a hero here. That's not what it's about. Here's what I'm saying. My hope is that your vision for the future that you want will fuel what you do not see in front of you. That you will do things that are connected to what it is you want and what it is you anticipate. It felt scary and it felt hurtful that he would assume being in a Black barbershop was someplace where he had to question if he was in the right place or not. It was a reminder of the world that we live in. But guess what? I live in that world and I can change it. You can change it. I changed the trajectory of what that man expected when he walked into that barbershop. It wasn't a Black thing or it wasn't anything like that. It wasn't a Republican thing or who knows what he believes. The power of behavior and the choices that we make based on what it is we want to see in our lives, whether that's your personal life, maybe you don't have everything going on that you want going on. You be that change. Maybe somebody's not treating you the way you want them to treat you. You model that, not because they deserve it, but because you can. That is what brings maturity. Stretching that muscle of, you know what, I can anticipate what it is I want for my life. Jeff said it, Kim said it, Coach Lawrence said it. You don't have to sit around and wait for situations and circumstances to change. Vision is what propels you out of the wilderness. Yes, it is. That's how it works, because it gives you a line of sight for who you need to be. Coach Lawrence, you said, that conversation, I didn't even know, like, I wasn't trying to be rude or anything, but it was literally a conversation where I'm like, you know what, this helped me, right? I did the work. It helped me. So I'm going to pass it on to you. Now, there was something that you needed to do to activate that lesson. But come on, the ability to push past your comfort zone is the power of vision. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop preaching. I'm going to need somebody to lean into that for a minute.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because as you were talking about the wilderness, there's this famous person in our history that he went into the wilderness on purpose because there was some work he needed to do on self. Mm-hmm. And as I believe that I was called into this work full time, I had to remind myself in every conversation, what was I supposed to be gaining? What was I supposed to be gathering? What was I supposed to be learning? What muscles was I supposed to be training? And when, again, you talk about the reframe of this year is I am now that person that Jeff said he's going to delete the podcast about opportunity. And it's one of those situations that this year, 2020, has moved me in that direction, because it's not for the sake that I believe that waking up every single day. But again, I have to level up in every single conversation, and I decide how I want to show up.
That's right.
And the way that I want to show up is I want to hold a space for you to believe. When you're with me, you talk about mission, you talk about vision. Anybody in my presence, one of the consistent themes of the second half of this year, Karen, and you'll love this, is that anybody who's with me, what you described me as earlier in this session was really things that I've been intentional about. The presence that I bring to a room is but I had to believe it in me first.
Right.
And I needed my wilderness. I needed those conversations early so that I could begin to be true to this. This is really me giving people feedback, not that they want, but what they need, and delivered in such a way that they actually, when it's coming from me, they don't see it coming from this big black man, but they see it coming from somebody who actually wants to hold space and see them grow. Right. And that only happened when I got clear about who I was. And to me, this year has been all about identity. And again, not allowing the wind, the storms, they're going to come. Yeah. But please understand that same man who signed up for the wilderness was the same man who, again, he pulled back, he prayed, he meditated, he powered up to begin to perform this work. And that's what we all need to be able to sign up and do in 2021. And Kim, I hear you. I hear it. I hear it. It's revving up in her.
Well, and I love, Karen, what you were saying, and Lawrence, I'm sitting here going, oh yeah. But it's all about choice. Karen, I love your story because, you took a minute, and I talk about this all the time, from the stimulus to response. We have choices, and we have to make those choices based on reality and who we truly are, who our true identity. But, there is this, I think for a lot of people, there's this pressure to pretend that we have it all together, or pretend we know what we're supposed to do next. And so then but the thing of it is, we're all walking around pretending, right? And you just have to decide, no, I'm going to be real. And I love what you said, Lawrence. Yes, as a coach, what we aspire to do is to be able to hold space for someone else and accept them and allow them to be totally real, and see in that moment that they are accepted because of that. And as a matter of fact, they're pretty wonderful, being, who they are and in their true identity. And when Pastor Andy was asking, do we allow our ego to get in the way? I think our ego, mine, yours, all of us. I think that's our biggest enemy is our ego, and we just got to let it go. And Lawrence, you're right. The wilderness, every wilderness experience we go through it's on purpose. And we have the opportunity to set our ego aside and say, okay, what am I going to learn in this wilderness experience? Or we can keep on trudging along in the darkness of the wilderness. And I have a little coaching companion here in my lap. So excuse the little pause coming up in my face.
I love it.
But anyway, yeah, I could go on, but good stuff.
That is
good
so
stuff.
good. So talk for a second, because Kim, you kind of, again, this is perfect segue. We do this all the time, all the time, by the way, you guys. We finish each other's sentences like this is just who we are as a squad. But, we've been in a wilderness, right? We didn't know we were in the wilderness. Like we were all like lost and nobody knew where to go. Then we realized, wait a second, we're in trouble here, right? In 2020. And then there were folks like this amazing coaching team that said, hold on a second, we can't stay here. So what is it that we need to learn? And we began looking at, okay, what are the stages of the wilderness? And we do that because like any time that you're lost or overwhelmed or not sure what to do next, you have to have a starting point to be able to know which direction to go in, or to even decide, am I in the right place? Am I even in the right place, right? Right? So that's why we did the stages of the wilderness. But as we get ready to move into a new year, the question that came up for me is, do we bring the wilderness with us? So here's my question. Vision is what helps us anticipate that we can get out of the wilderness. Mm-hmm. So my question is, what are the barriers, real quickly, what are the barriers to vision? What are the things that get in the way of us being able to see our way clear? I want to break this down because some of us are holding on to old methods, old plans, old tools, old whatever, thinking that that's going to help us get out of the wilderness. And it's not. Ego is one of those things. I've got it all together. I don't need any help. I'm going to tell you another one while y'all are thinking about it, an attitude. Mm-hmm. Some of us have a chip on our shoulder. Coach Lawrence talked about it earlier. I'm just going to help. I'm going to help y'all. And you may not talk to me for a minute. Attitude. I'm not going to talk to that person. Or, they didn't know what they had anyway. Attitude, that kind of bitterness is what we might call it, is not a path to clarify your vision. It may have gotten you what you needed in the past, but you can't stay there because bitterness, all of these things that we're talking about, ego, they eat away at your ability to be all of who you are. I said it earlier this week in our digital course, Reclaim Your Why, with our students. I said, when you connect with all of who you are, the best part of who you are, it actually allows you to live in the fullness of your core values. True story. It allows you to live in the fullness of your core values. So I'm just going to throw it out to the squad. What are some of the things, Jeff, let's start with you, that cloud our ability to have vision for getting out of the wilderness?
The first one that comes to mind, it's a book that my CIO previous career path that I had bought for me.
Yes.
What got you here won't get you there. And the idea, I say that to tell you a brief story. I don't know if anybody here has ever watched the show Survivor Man with Les Stroud. He's a survivalist. Anyway, he goes out, films himself carrying cameras, doing things, and tries to survive for some period of time in an environment. In one of the episodes, I bring this up for a purpose. In one of the episodes, he's like in the Canadian wilderness, and he has to make it to a road or to a town. That's where his crew is going to pick him up. And as he's hiking along this way, he doesn't know if he's going the right way. And he gets to a place where there's some power lines that just go off in the distance. And he's like, it's so easy to stop here and go, oh, look, it's infrastructure. This is something comfortable. I recognize it. I could just follow that. But then he says to the camera, but you don't know where that goes. The next town could be to your right, a mile where these power lines start, or it could be 400 miles down this path if I turn left. You have no idea. It feels comfortable, but is that the way you're going to go? Or do you just keep going the way you think is the right way? And I say that as that path is what got you here. Like that's what you've done before got you to this place, but it is not the same thing that's going to get you to the next place. But it's so easy to let yourself be comfortable or to sink back into the comfort of what you've done before. Very likely, and in most every case, what you've done before is not what's going to get you to that next place. It got you here. Cool. Put a bow on it and say, great, I've learned that already. It's time to do something else, but you have to let yourself be willing to feel uncomfortable. Do that next thing, because the comfort zone of what you've done before is just a safety blanket to fall into. And if you keep doing that, you're never ever going to do the next thing.
You're never going to get out of the wilderness if you stay in your comfort zone. Wow. Sarah put in the comments the link to that book. It's by Marshall Goldsmith, actually. What Got You Here Won't Get You There. One of the best books ever written on business. Coach Kim, what are some of the barriers to vision, our ability to have vision to get out of the wilderness, get out of where we are?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is not being willing to do the work. I mean, we look at everyone else and we say, well, this is what worked for that person. I mean, not thinking for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Not being willing to think for ourselves and not being willing to do the work. I can look at everyone else and think, well, this is what made other people successful, or this is what they, but no, and it really ties into what Jeff was just saying. There is a path that is mine.
Yeah.
But I've got to be willing to either take the time I've got to take the time to see my path. I've got to take the time to focus on my path. And I can't follow every little shiny object. Lawrence said this earlier. I've got to stick with mine, and I've got to focus, and I've got to do the work. So I think we want it to be easy. And when we're going through the wilderness experience, it's happening for a purpose. And we've just really got to walk through it, not stop, but just keep walking through.
Yeah, we have to be willing to do the work. One of the things that I recognize the wilderness did for me, because they say when you're in the wilderness, you can experience delirium. If you're dehydrated or you're injured and maybe you've been losing blood or whatever, it can play tricks with your mind. And one of the things that I remember a couple of times, like I felt a little bit like a little bit off, y'all. I'm serious. And I'm a pretty tough cookie, but I was like, I can't do this. I don't know how much longer I can do this. How many of you have said that true story? Like, honest, I'm not sure how much longer I can do this. Like, that is what happens when you're in the wilderness. It's one of the clues, right? Like if you're normally somebody who can power through or whatever, that's how you know when you need some help. Like Coach Lawrence said, you need to reach out. There's another one, right? One of the things that clouds our ability to have vision is not asking for help. We've been talking about it all morning. Some of you have been so kind of in your own head, trying to figure things out your own way. Listen, Coach Lawrence is an amazing coach. I know he has availability. And y'all need to be connecting with him and setting up some time to have some accountability, right? Not just polite conversations, but somebody who's going to hold you accountable, right? Somebody who's going to help you uncover some of the things that may be getting in your way. I'm going to pop here into the comments. We got all kinds of good things in here. And one of my amazing friends and sister from another mother, Sarah Steele, is in here, and she said something I want y'all to hear. When we were talking about this experience that I had, she says, I'm blessed to live in such a neighborhood, but only because Blacks and Jews back in 1959 refused to be redlined out, formed their own real estate agency and their own bank to be a mortgage lender. People in this neighborhood have never stopped living these visions forward with commitment. Even here, there's an evolution that must continue. Deliberately is the word. Being deliberate about what it is you want to see is one of the most powerful things you can do when you are in a wilderness experience or trying to figure your way out. We call it intentionality in the coaching community. Whatever it is you want to call it, creating the kind of environment that you want. And listen, everybody has a voice. Everybody's trying to do it, but you cannot fire everybody. You cannot cancel everybody. That is not the kind of country we want to live in. And as long as I got breath in my bones, in this environment, I think it's incredibly healthy that we are a diverse community where we can come together and find those things that give us common ground, and also respect the fact that, you know what, we're not going to believe we're not going to necessarily vote the same way, go to the same churches or whatever. And that's okay. What are the things that get in our way of having vision? And I'm going to ask Coach Lawrence, I'm going to ask you to close us out because we've been here a long time already. I understand, but we had a lot to talk about today as we get ready to close out the year. So when you think about vision and vision as a tool to help us navigate out of the wilderness, right? Talk to me about how vision can equip us for 2021, whatever it is that comes in 2021. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll tell it through an instance from my coaching session last week. I was actually on a podcast with one of my coaches, somebody I truly trust. And you talk about us not having always to believe the same thing.
Yeah.
It was being challenged to actually be intentional about looking back at what my vision actually was that I had written down. And a lot of times what gets us off track is the fact that we're not checking in on what we have put in place. And it recalls before every single mission in the military, we had to create a mission brief for our soldiers. We knew what we were going to do, but again, we hadn't done it yet. So we built it based on information that we had, information, intelligence, all those other things we pulled into the brief, and we made this comprehensive thing, but we checked back in. Are these things still true about the direction that we're heading? And I believe for us to get out of our own way, we need to continue to go back to what we have written down, and don't be afraid to make updates and edits as we go. And so, Jeff, you put something in the comments about having a fixed mindset. I was afraid to look back at that vision that I wrote at the top of 2020 because that goal achievement in my head was like, I know I'm not where I believe I should be. Well, we need to give yourself some grace, guy. A pandemic happened.
Come on.
But I had never updated or pulled forward the things that were true. Excuse me. And so what that did was it made me a part of the enemy outbrief that I was actually influencing negatively my outcomes. And so for vision, you need to check back in. And don't need to be afraid to have an update. And so for 2021, continue to be intentional about pulling what's true forward, and every single day be intentional about doing your check-ins, getting a coach, getting a therapist, getting a counselor, getting a battle buddy, so that you can do this well. Because 2021 is not going to be about this or that. It's going to be about, and are you propelling yourself forward by not canceling anything and everybody, but figuring out what you need to move forward and who you need to move forward.
Wow. Woo, y'all.
You know, Lawrence,
I don't know about you, Kim.
I was just going to say, I am so like that. And this is a part of my ego that I have to consciously be, or have to always be conscious about, is that I am an achiever, right? And so when I write things down, I want to achieve those things. But that's my ego part of me where, I have to, and you're so right. You have to make sure that you're path is still the right path for you. And don't be afraid to give yourself some grace and make some edits. And I can't tell you how many times, I mean, I'm just going to be honest here, how many times my husband has had to look at me and say, but we're in a pandemic. You know, it's like, but still that achiever in me, these are the goals I set. These are the ones I'm going to accomplish, you know, and you're so right. We've got to stop and we've got to give ourselves some grace and realize that we've got to give some, you know, make some edits from time to time. And you're right. I mean, what military group goes into battle and says, hey, y'all, let's go. We'll figure it out along the way, you know. So,
you know, Coach,
that was a great analogy.
It was a beautiful analogy. Coach John Kowaleski, who was in here, I don't know if he's still in here, but he said something the other day. We had him on, was it last week? I barely even know what day of the week it is. Y'all need to go back and watch that show with Coach John Kowaleski. I mean, he is so incredible. You're going to be seeing more of him in 2021. But anyway, he said, you know, Karen, you know who survives the wilderness? And I said, who? Like I had some, you know, some great like answer for him. He said, the animals. Sometimes you have to be like an animal to survive the wilderness. You know, going into 2021, if nothing else, like being in that comfort zone will cause you to be timid. It will cause you to not pay attention to what's going on around. The animals are always paying attention to what's going on. I have a cat. Okay, I'm way off track. I have a cat. She is always doing like this. She sits up high so she can see what's going on. Sometimes you got to be like an animal. Sometimes you got to take it by force. You are not always going to feel like walking into a situation or walking into a new client or walking into a client meeting or dealing with that difficult conversation. You're not always going to have, you know, the whole answer. But if you, I say this all the time, and there's a reason, and now y'all know why. If you have a pulse, you have a purpose. That alone can set your intention to walk into it knowing that you're going to figure it out. Jeff Bull has been through some things where he didn't think at the moment that he had what it took. And then he realized, hold on a second, yes, I do. Kim Dudash has been through some things where she was like, I've never done this before. Where do I even start? And then on the other side of success, she was like, she looked back and she was like, hold on a second. I just did that thing that I didn't know anything about. Coach Lawrence Henderson, a battle-tested military veteran, was like, hold on a second. This is scary. I've never seen this before. I got people dependent on me. Hold on a second. I can do this. Listen to me. As we get ready to close the year, and the year's not finished, Coach Lawrence said it, we've got a lot to do, but I want you to know you've got options. Walking into 2021 is going to be what it's going to be, but a lot of it is going to depend on how you walk into the year. Right? 2020 tried to come for us. 2020 tried to drag us into the wilderness. And for a minute, I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I mean, I really thought I was going to play bigger and all like that. And then I remembered who I was. I'm Clara's daughter. Y'all ain't playing with me. Do not mess with me. And we got this squad right here. The Jeff Bulls and the Kim Dudashes and the Coach Lawrence Hendersons and the Phil Williams and the Akila Charlemagnes and Coach Pastor Andy Smith and all my squad who were like, Karen, I'm going to need you to snap out of it. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to remind you, you have options. Come on. We're closing it out. One final word, Jeff Bull, to this amazing community as we get ready for 2021. One last word, and then we're going to be out of here. I promise.
You just got to let yourself get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way. I love it. I love it. Coach Kim Dudash.
Yeah, I think let's head into 2021. Like you said, grabbing the bull by the horns and let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Coach Lawrence Henderson, you have been amazing. You've been a light. You've been like that little military kick in the pants that we needed. But most of all, you're a friend of this community, and we are going to talk offline because I need more details about that conversation. But anyway, In the meantime, give us one last word as we get ready to close out.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't go back to the military. But one thing we always used to tell before going into any mission is say, ruck up.
Come
Put
on.
the pack on and let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, community, rock your vision. For those of you that were new, welcome. We're so glad you were here. You know what? You've got options, and we're here to remind you of that. Jeff Bull, Coach Kim Dudash, and Lawrence Henderson. 2 seconds. Hold on. We're going to close it out. But for the rest of you, have a great week. We will see you on the other side.